Hey everyone, welcome back to the Essentials channel. Today we'll be talking about our latest review, River Modern, with so much more info out. So will it be a River of luxury or a modern flop? So today we are here to do our full analysis because the last round we were doing it, we have very limited info and we were not allowed to release any of the floor plans / site plan. So right now we've got the full deck here. We have even got the pricing ready. So let's get straight into it. Before we begin, remember to like, share and subscribe because more and more of you have been contacting me. It's really heartwarming to be able to receive all your messages. I've got in touch and met up with a lot of my audiences out there and even proceed on to the next steps of their property journey. I'm very glad that I'm able to help empower, but most importantly, connect the dots amongst all the concepts online. The major problem that we are having online is the information paralysis, where we get too much info but we just don't know how to make good use of them, especially in today's market where everything seems like it's very accessible and most importantly also can buy. So which one is the right thing to do? So I'm very glad that I'm able to empower all my audiences out there to be able to help them move on to their next step of their property journey. Else, remember to like, share and subscribe as I continue to stay motivated to create more insightful and in-depth content for you today. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into it. So as always, our usual project review. We start off with the rapid fire info, followed by the site plan and floor plan analysis, and we'll highlight to you major pitfalls as well as key advantages and opportunities. Then we move on to why I would not buy River Modern, why I will buy River Modern, and finally its final verdict together with its price analysis. So without further ado, let's head into it. To begin, this is the rapid fire information. It's by River Modern Private Limited, also by GuocoLand itself. Land size is about 126,326 square feet with a total number of units of 455, 99 leasehold from 13 May 2025 with a construction method of PPVC, meaning to say you can't hack the walls unless otherwise specified. And then the estimated TOP is in the second half of 2030. 6 units per floor in Tower 5, 7 units per floor in Tower 7. A total of 373 car park lots consisting of 367 car park lots with 12 electrical vehicle charging car park lots, 1 motorcycle lot with 5 accessible car park lots. Moving forward, the design concepts of the landscape. River Modern exemplifies serene luxury and sustainable living. It encourages community interaction, strengthens connectivity, and fosters a deep relationship with both its natural surrounding and urban context, making it a truly exemplary residential development. The parcel spans 11,736 square meters and sits next to the Singapore River, with 3 sides of the site facing Kim Seng Park, Kim Seng Linear Park. Units are afforded generous openness and greenery. At the western edge, the site is anchored by the existing Thomson East Coast Line, the Great World MRT Exit 1, along River Valley Green. A 2-story building edge with a covered linkway will provide a seamless pedestrian connection to the MRT. Alright, so you can see from here exactly like what we mentioned before in our preliminary video. It is the only land that actually connects straight to the Kim Seng Linear Park, and this is probably the only land in the entire River Valley vicinity that actually connects itself to the park, and that's why GuocoLand actually paid top dollar for this land itself, as it really distinguishes itself from the rest of the existing lands like Zion Grand, Promenade Peak, River Green, so on and so forth. Alright, so here is the unit mix of River Modern. We can see from here there is actually no 1 bedroom, 70 units of 2 bedrooms, 105 units of 2 bedroom plus. The 2 bedrooms will comprise of 39% of the entire development. Next we have the 3 bedrooms starting from 797 square feet, 829 square feet, 904 square feet, 35 units each respectively, a total of 105 units. A 3 bedroom flex, which is type C3 with 893 square feet, 35 units, 3 bedroom plus 1098 square feet and 1109 square feet, 35 units each as well, comprising of total 70 units. Next we move on to the 4 bedroom type D1 and D2, 1464 square feet and 1830 square feet, each is 35 units as well, total of 15% of the entire development. So total 455 units, and you will realize that 3 bedroom and above will comprise of 61% of the entire development, which is something very positive to be looking at, because like what I always mentioned in my previous videos, to be able to have a strong unit distribution like this that caters to the homestay demand is actually something that makes River Modern very special. Because if we look at the likes of Promenade Peak, Zion Grand as well as River Valley Green, they all actually have quite a fair bit of allocation to the 1 and 2 bedrooms, but if we look at here, they are allocating more than 50% to homestay dwelling units, which actually caters to the demand of the River Valley vicinity. And down here, it is exactly, they have taken the other side of the spectrum, which is catering to a luxury and affluent family needs. And that is a rare commodity within the CCR region, especially in today's market. Despite having all the URA policies in place, we are still seeing certain developments having a lot of 1 and 2 bedrooms that does not cater to the homestay family needs. Finally, now upgraders from Tiong Bahru as well as Ghim Moh or the RCR HDBs will have a very strong alternative to climb the social ladder and finally find something that can really cater to their family needs, which is right here at River Modern. And you will see later as we analyze the layouts, how well does it cater to the needs of family families, and how well totally imagine those who are very affluent, who has been waiting for strong developments in the central region area. Finally, they have a strong alternative choice, which is River Modern itself. So now we move on to the site plan and floor plan analysis. So based on the site plan itself, we have an array of facilities, about 39 different facilities to engage in. As seen in the site plan here, we have block 40 and 42 with a tennis court on the left and a pool in the center, and of course a very huge lawn area that seamlessly connects in terms of the peripheral vision to the park connector. On the left itself is where the Great World MRT station is, alright, and then of course we have stack 11, 12, 13, 4, 5, 6 facing River Valley Green, which is also facing the future River Valley Parcel C, and then we have stack 7 to 10 as well as 1 to 3 that are facing the river view. Alright, so you will see how the developer has actually allocated the stacks accordingly. You have 829 square feet type C2, which is a 3-bedroom, as well as the smallest type of 3-bedroom at 797 square feet, which is stacks 11 and 13 facing the River Valley Green. We have the smallest 2-bedroom, which is stack 12, 538 square feet facing River Valley Green as well. We have another one which is the 3-bedroom 904 square feet, as well as another 538 square feet which is 2-bedroom 646, which is 2-bedroom 904, which is a 3-bedroom variation, all facing River Valley Green. The main ones that are facing the river view are stacks 1 to 3, which comprises of the 1109 square feet 3-bedroom, variation of 893 square feet 3-bedroom, and a 1830 square feet 4-bedroom that faces the river view. Stack 7, 1464 square feet is the other variation, the smaller variation of the 4-bedrooms. Stack 8 and stack 9 are 689 square feet and 678 square feet 2-bedroom, as well as the 3-bedrooms 1098 square feet that faces the river view. You will realize that all the larger format 3-bedrooms as well as the 4-bedrooms faces the river view, except for all the smaller 3-bedrooms that probably face behind, which faces the opposite future plot of land. Anyway, so based on the site plan itself, you can also see how wide a frontage we have in parallel to the Kim Seng Park. We have a 186 meter width that runs alongside the park itself, so you can totally imagine the kind of lifestyle that you'll be getting. And most importantly, stacks 1, 2 and 3 is actually just nice at the curvature of the Singapore River, which adds a lot more depth and contrast to your views rather than just having a river running alongside it like some longkao. But for this one itself, that curvature actually gives the whole scenery that you have a lot more depth and contrast. With that in mind, I think I'm very excited with this development because of the kind of quality as well as the kind of landscaping that it can provide. And you can see how the developer actually emphasizes a lot on the family communal activities by having huge greenery lawn spaces, which is what defines a CCR luxury property. The land is large enough to be able to afford to have nice big lawn areas for kids to run around, for you to hold your events, but most importantly, it's just actually exudes the grandeur and that kind of luxury and that kind of so-called irresponsible spending on the land, where you can really just put a big green lawn space down there because why? You can just afford to waste it in that sense. And it's the kind of luxury that you want to exude, especially with such a top dollar land that GuocoLand has paid for. So very nice facilities overall, and you can see on the left it is where all the unsightly things that are tucked away, which really separates the residential portion from all of the genset, the rubbish chute, so on and so forth. And of course, don't forget, this is also kind of like a mixed development with a commercial element below, so you will have actually your commercial spaces that probably based on how the MCST is going to run it will be able to control your tenant pool as you are taking your stroll to the MRT. So you got your views, you got your greenery, but most importantly, two iconic buildings that's going to set yourself apart from all the other developments in this concrete jungle of River Valley. And based on my previous video, as what I've mentioned before, this is the only land in the entire River Valley vicinity that actually has a park connector right beside it, which also means one thing: it is going to be a permanent view, a permanent scenario where you do not have any other buildings or construction coming up in the near future. Alright, so if you want more artist impression of this building, please refer to the preliminary video, but otherwise let's go straight to the point of having our floor plan analysis. Right, so here we have the first type, which is type B1, 2-bedroom, stack 5 and stack 12. So stack 5 and stack 12, actually both stacks faces River Valley Green, which is the future River Valley Parcel C, which also kind of faces River Valley Primary School as well. So you will see, of course, this is a 538 square feet. It is smart of the developer to place the smallest type of unit in the not so ideal facing in a way. So as we enter from the main entrance, you are greeted with a galley kitchen and then followed by a separated dining area and a living area. Bedroom 1 and bedroom 2 both are 9 square meters. This is a 2-bed 1-bath. I mean, it is the most ideal layout that you can get for a 2-bed 1-bath, especially in this GFA-harmonized era. No complaints here. The usual complaint is probably your dining set is actually facing the master bath door, but it's okay, it's a 2-bed 1-bath. Most of the time you are catering it to tenants who don't really mind about this attribute. So moving forward, we have the 646 2-bedroom type B2 stack 06. As we enter the main entrance, you are greeted by 2 kitchen aisles, very ample food preparation space, ideal for smaller families who really want to cherish the location and are okay to sacrifice a little bit of the space to move into the River Valley vicinity. Moving in, you get a big rectangle space where it is clearly defined, a 19 square meter living and dining, followed by a master bedroom of 10 square meters with the master bath, and then the second bath and the bathroom 2 on the right side. What I like about this layout, although it's a little bit on the right side with that long corridor space here, is actually it allows a little bit of dual key concept down here where you can actually put door there and maybe slight partition to add more privacy to the space for the left side of things where the master bedroom is, and you can really rent out the right side as an individual unit itself because you can see how the bath bathroom actually attaches itself to the bedroom too, that creates that kind of junior suite feeling. So if you're looking to raise your rental yields, this may be a layout that you can actually use. It's quite versatile. Else for own stay, it gives both parties in the master bedroom and bedroom 2 ample privacy, because otherwise usually in a traditional dumbbell layout there is no such corridor space to make the layout a lot more efficient. But for this, there's an extra corridor space leading into the bedroom too, and that gives added privacy. For type B3 stack 9, this is one of the few 2-bedroom stacks that faces the river. 678 square feet. As we enter the main entrance, you are greeted by an 11 square meter L-shaped kitchen. This is in a way enclosable. You can totally visualize yourself building sliding doors or sliding glass doors to enclose the kitchen. As we enter the living room and dining, clearly defined spaces. Then we have the traditional dumbbell layouts where we get the 10 square meter master bedroom and a 9 square meter bedroom too, with the bathrooms running on each side in parallel to the 2 bedrooms. So for this layout 2-bedroom, it is the standard dual key layout that we have usually seen. This is the most optimized 2-bedroom layout that we can get, 678 square feet dumbbell layout. Next, we have the other variation of 2-bedroom, a 689 square feet stack 8. Alright, so similarly to stack 9, this is side by side each other. They also get the river view. So for 2-bedroom to get a river view, there is some form of investment value and a clearer exit strategy as compared to the rest. Alright, as we enter the main entrance, you get a slightly bigger kitchen of 1 square meter more. That's why you can see it completes the U shape rather than just an L shape. Again, with this extra width, it makes the enclosable kitchen a little bit more effective. Entering the living and dining, you get the same size of 19 square meters with the 2 bedrooms on each side, left and right, and also the bathrooms attached to it. Same, most optimized 2-bedroom dumbbell layout, nothing much to complain about, but just imagine the kind of views that you'll be getting for this 2-bedroom. It is also to cater to smaller families who are able to sacrifice in terms of size to get a better convenience and accessibility, and the river views makes it a much more livable unit. Next, this is how all the 2-bedroom will compare to each other. We have stack 8, stack 5, 12, 6 and 9 all in a bird's eye view for you, and you can really see how GuocoLand has kept all the layouts consistent. It's just more about adding 1 toilet or 1 toilet lesser, as well as the 646 square feet giving you a little bit more corridor space and versatility to the layout that can actually double up as a dual key unit to raise your yields. But otherwise, it is kind of quite ideal for smaller families that really wants to have that kind of convenience and accessibility. So they make it very livable, which is the trademark and signature of all GuocoLand developments. Next, we move on to the 3-bedroom type C1 stack 13. This is the smallest 3-bedroom type, which is 797 square feet. As we enter from the main entrance, you are greeted by an L-shaped galley kitchen, and then you have bedroom 3 on the right just beside the open concept kitchen, and then we make our way into the 22 square meters living and dining with the master bedroom and bedroom 2 running in parallel to the 2 bathrooms. This itself is a traditional layout 3-bedroom, but a little bit of a variation and alternative where they shift the 3rd bedroom down to the bottom side of things. This itself faces River Valley Green, which is the future River Valley Parcel C construction. I mean, it is a 797 square feet 3-bedroom unit. We can't expect much from this. In fact, I would say that this is actually quite effective, still very livable for families running a very tight budget, and in a way they still want to have the kind of accessibility and convenience of an MRT and most importantly city living. I think we can make do with the open concept kitchen, but in a way this is also the disadvantage. So this unit itself is a double-edged sword. We respect that GuocoLand tries its best to create an effective livable layout, but there is definitely some form of compromise here in terms of the kitchen, because even the 2 bedrooms get a better kitchen setup than this 3-bedroom kitchen. But in a way, anyway, there are some sacrifices to be made if you are running on a tight budget and yet you want to be in the city area right beside an MRT. So there may be a resale buyer in future, but then again we also need to be mindful about the demographics in River Valley. They belong to the more affluent type, then they can really pay for what they really want and need. So this itself is really for that very niche group of buyers that just want to be in the city but run a tight budget. Next, we have the 829 square feet 3-bedroom type C2 stack 11 facing the future River Valley Parcel C. Coming in from the main entrance, you get a U-shaped kitchen. This time round, the kitchen setup is better. It replicates what we have in the 2 bedrooms. You can do your sliding glass door so that you can have an enclosable kitchen, a designated dining area and a living area of 29 square meters, much bigger than what we see in the 2 bedrooms, with bedroom 3 9 square meters on the left, as well as the other 2 bedrooms on the right, the master bedroom at 11 square meters and the bedroom 2 at 9 square meters with a reasonable size balcony of 5 square meters. So this 829 square feet is just an improvement on the 2-bedroom dual key layout, where instead of having 2 bedrooms on each side, this time round they add 1 more bedroom on the right side of the plan. In a way, this is the most effective way that we can do it. Just think about it as a 2-bedroom dumbbell layout plus 1 more bedroom this time around to make it 3 bedrooms. I mean, this is what you can really do with an 829 square feet space. If it's not because of GFA harmonization, we will never be able to do this, and there will be a lot of consumers being priced out. But this time around, because of GFA harmonization, clearly GuocoLand is taking advantage of this policy implementation, pricing a lot of the market consumers in. Alright, so next we have 3-bedroom type C3. It's getting bigger. Stack 02, which is the river view. 893 square feet. Things are getting a little bit more exciting here. As we enter the main entrance, we have a kitchen 6 square meter tucked to the right side of things. They kind of replicate what we see at Springleaf layout with a flexi space of 1.75 meters times 2 meters. So you can fit in a bed if you ever want to. Else this one can act as a study or a storeroom. That's why it's called a flexi area. I kind of like this layout a lot because this one really capitalizes on the GFA harmonization effects that brings out the advantages of this policy, followed by the usual dumbbell setup where we have bedroom 3 on the left and the 2 bedrooms on the right. This time around, the master bedroom is 1 square meter bigger than the 829 square feet one, and of course your living and dining is both 29 square meters as well. So it's a same replica of whatever that we just seen in 829 square feet, just that they reconfigure the kitchen setup a little bit to accommodate an extra flexi space that can cater to more family needs. Next, we have type C4, 904 square feet. As we enter the main entrance, you will have a 32 square meter living and dining, followed by the traditional layout where all the bedrooms are on the right. Alright, you got a long corridor space. They try their best to reduce the corridor length by cascading the master bedroom and third bedroom, alright, so that it does not run in one straight line, and that will elongate the corridor space by a lot more. This time around, they cascade it against the 3 bedroom, so you got your master versus the 3 bedroom, and then they tuck the 2 bedroom on the extreme top of the plan itself. We have the bathroom running in parallel to bedroom 3 as well as the kitchen, and then of course 8 square meter balcony. This stack itself is in the corner unit that faces the future River Valley Parcel C. This layout, I like it but don't like it as well. This reminds me of the gun-shaped layout that we saw at Promenade Peak. We have an elongated balcony space of 8 square meters, which I don't really fancy, but otherwise, at least for this kitchen itself, it does come with a window and it really fits the family needs. They actually made up and compensated by giving a much bigger living and dining of 32 square meters as compared to the usual 29 square meters. The width is 3 meters and of course the length is 8.65 meters. So as you walk in, you can really see how much more space was given into the dining area. If you ever wanted to fit an 8-seater dining set, this is an ideal layout. And then of course, as we head into the bedroom areas, you have that very long corridor space. What I don't really like is the kitchen being right beside the bedroom 3. That itself causes a bit of privacy issue, and most importantly, not everybody likes to be staying right beside a kitchen. I think based on Chinese feng shui, this is not so ideal. But otherwise, it is one of the best ways that we can maximize this 904 square feet, and GuocoLand has did its best to make use of the GFA harmonization policies to carve out livable layouts. This itself again meets a lot of the family needs. I mean, if we are running on a tight budget, we can't be so selective and picky about the layout. At least this is still livable, caters to the family needs, especially with the window in the kitchen. Next, we have stack 10 type C5 3 bedroom 1098 square feet, a corner unit that faces the Kim Seng Park, and then of course the river view. Right, so this is one of the best layouts that you can find, and this is the usual iconic trademark GuocoLand layout, where once you enter the main entrance, you are greeted by this landscape layout of 5.5 meters with the balcony running in parallel to the walls of the living and dining, and then you got this very nice iconic kitchen space that provides ample food prep space itself, and then you got a flexi area of 1.45 meters times 2.25 meters. If you ever wanted a big kitchen, a much bigger kitchen, then you can hack away the walls to put your iconic island in the center of the entire kitchen. This is the usual trademark signature of GuocoLand developments, where they pride themselves in their kitchen designs, and then they usually have very nice iconic kitchen with that kind of precious stone marble tabletops that exudes a lot of grandeur and luxury, right? And then of course we have the 3 bedrooms on the right side. This time around, they cascade the master bedroom against the second bedroom to reduce the corridor space. You got your bathroom running in parallel to bedroom 3, and then of course your master bath at the end on the right side of the floor plan. Alright, so again, this is one of the most ideal 3 bedroom layout. What I really like, go and have a look for yourself at the show flat as it opens up. The living and dining, that kind of width, that kind of space, that kind of grandeur as you walk into your house, very, very beautiful. This is what I conclude that GuocoLand always makes awesome layout like this, especially with GFA harmonization. It really works in the favor of the GuocoLand's usual effective designs. And with that kind of width of 5.5 meters, just imagine looking out to the panoramic view of your river as well as the park connector. This is something that really enhances and capitalizes on the sceneries that you're going to be getting from this unit type. Next, we move on to type C6, another 3 bedroom variation, stack 1, 1109 square feet. As we enter, we have a little bit more foyer space in the front as compared to the 1098 square feet, where it's slightly shorter. It's the same thing, you are greeted with a 7475 width and then a 5.5 meter length landscape layout. Basically everything else is the same down here. The bedroom sizes are also the same, 13 square meters, 9 square meters, 9 square meters. So actually I don't even know where the freaking difference is. Only the living room is a little bit bigger by 1 square meters. Both also comes with a bathroom 3 powder toilet. Alright, so the only difference is probably as you enter the main entrance, you get a slightly bigger foyer space as well as a slightly bigger ST space, which just means another storage space. But otherwise everything is pretty much similar. Alright, but of course for the 1109 square feet itself, it gets the best view because that's nice, you are at the turning point of the river view. Alright, so moving forward, this is the bird's eye view of all the 3 bedroom layouts that we have, C5 versus C1, C2, C3, C4 and C6. You would see that they are all similar variations, such that either it adds an extra bedroom or it kind of restructures the layout a little bit to enhance whatever unit position they are in. Most of them are corner units, so that's why they kind of change the layout structure so that they can enhance the livability a little bit more. Otherwise, for the smaller units like the 829 square feet, 893 square feet, and 797 square feet, they are all pretty much same like what a 2-bedroom is, just with an additional bedroom. Right, things only start to become a little bit more exciting once we hit the bigger variation like the 1098 versus the 1109 square feet. If you ask me, number one, I think based on what I understand from the consumer behavior on the ground, they will probably go for the 1098 square feet first because it has everything we need to have, from the river views to the excellent layout without paying for excessive unnecessary space that cannot be seen. I think everybody will be going for 1098 square feet because it keeps the quantum low. If you just want to think ahead in terms of balloting and anticipate the balloting rush, then maybe you might just want to jump the gun a little bit and go for something at the 1109 square feet unit, because I believe that it will be the next one to go. Then probably you just think ahead a little bit and just go for the 1109 square feet one, so that you don't have to be caught up in a very competitive fight for the unit itself. Otherwise, looking at the 3 bedrooms, the GuocoLand, I would say that they have really tried their best to enhance whatever they could to cater to family communal needs. Probably the only layout that I'll be wary about is the 797 square feet unit, because that itself has an open concept kitchen which does not cater to future consumer needs. Otherwise, anything above like 829 or 893 itself, I think actually 893 is the best balance point. If you're running a tight budget between 2.6 to about 2.8 mil and you really want to be in the River Valley area and really love the kind of landscape and livability, then probably the 893 square feet is the best variation of the 3 bedrooms you can go for, because that is the only stack that actually faces the River Valley view while being under a smaller unit classification. 904 square feet to me, I think will be kind of like the last one to move because of that gun-shaped layout, but otherwise it's still livable and effective in that sense, and I think it fares a little bit better than the Promenade Peak gun-shaped layout because of the wider width of the living and dining area, and that itself is actually one of the main selling points if you're looking at the 904 square feet unit. Alright, so we move on to the 4 bedroom. So for this 4 bedroom, type D1, stack 7, this is the one that gets the river view, 1464 square feet. Wow, this is always the kind of layouts that I'm very excited about when it comes to GuocoLand, because that is their signature trademark that they are well known for. So you get a very wide and spacious living room of 35 square meters, 6.5 meters of length in terms of the living room landscape layout, and 4.475 of width means you can put in your 80-inch to 100-inch TV no problem. And then a not too excessive balcony of 12 square meters, which really, like, you're not here to waste. A lot of the space is kept internally, and like what I always tell people, when you get landscape layout, minimally you must have a 6.2 to 6.4 meters. For this one itself is 6.5 meters. Landscape layout like this will be very effective, because you probably, if you want to put in a nice 100-inch TV, then you need to have a good setback between the sofa and TV of about 3.5 to 4 meters, and that gives you a good space of a 3-meter wide dining area, and you still can fit in an 8-seater because of the width. So think about it. That's why I always tell people landscape layout must be 6.5 meters. Otherwise, if it's only about 5-ish to 5.5 meters, it's actually quite tight. Then we have the other 3 bedrooms on the left with a junior master bedroom cascading against them to reduce the corridor space, with the bathrooms running in parallel to the bedroom. And then of course we have the very nice kitchen on the right side of 19 square meters. Comes with your household shelter as well as the yard area and additional utility toilet of 2 square meters below. This is one of the most ideal 4-bedroom layouts that you can get. In fact, we welcome the first generation of effective layout units in CCR area. Remember, like what I mentioned in our previous videos before, in the past why there was very low natural demand in the CCR area was also because there was a product problem. It was an era of bay windows, planter box, big balconies, so on and so forth, which rendered the units not so livable. But because of the lack of supply, consumers were forced to get them if they wanted to stay in the city and needed space. Right now, we welcome the first batch of newly designed units under the URA improvements that ensured that these layouts are effective. There's no more wastage of space. Livability is the #1 key attribute that URA emphasizes on, and today this is the first batch of new developments that we are welcoming in this CCR area. So right now, it really bridges the gap with decentralization. It has allowed many other regions to catch up in price, making the gap between an OCR RCR versus a CCR narrow. So with that narrow gap in mind, it makes it palatable, it makes it possible, and not a far-fetched dream for consumers to climb the social ladder and finally upgrade. In the past, what happened is you can make your buck, you can work hard for your buck, but in the end, when you finally needed to upgrade and you see what CCR developments offer, in a way you ask yourself whether is that sacrifice worth it, because the units are just not livable and not ideal for family needs. But today, we see a new era under the influence of new URA policies, with all these improved efficient floor plans finally catering to the needs of families, and with that in mind, brings in a lot more natural demand, making prices very sustainable. And so with that kind of rarity in the market for this kind of big format 4 bedrooms, I believe this is one of the unit stacks that will do very well. Again, with the implementation of GFA harmonization, it makes layouts effective, efficient. It dropped the sizes from a usual 1,005 to 1,006 square feet 4 bedroom in the central area to about 1,004 square feet. And most importantly, because of the regularization of the thickness of walls, it ensures that the developers are not shortchanging you. Alright, and most importantly, consistency and uniformity in markets. Alright, so why am I telling you so much about this? It's also because with this in mind, it has dropped the quantum. Your surrounding resales, to get something of similar functionality and layout, you gotta pay 5 to 5.5 mil or even 6 mil. But right now, you can get the best of many worlds below even 5 mil based on the starting price of what River Modern has announced. The quantum just brings back the kind of affordability and fills the market void that once nobody could meet. Next, we move on to the ultimate one. Stack 3, 4 bedroom type D2. This is the one that I'm looking out for also, everybody. Alright, so myself, my wife has just turned PR. Yay! Alright, so exactly now suddenly instead of looking for an investment, we are also thinking, because of family planning, we also want to see whether is this 4 bedroom itself palatable or not. So this is the 1830 square feet stack 3. Alright, that's facing the river view, and just nice, this is on the left corner of the curvature, so it really gives you that kind of depth and contrast. You don't want the river to be just gushing into your house as well. Just nice at the curvatures, and you are there, and you really can get the kind of depth as you see the turning point of the river right in front of your living room. Alright, so as you enter from the main entrance, the private lobby, alright, you have the junior master suite on the left with the junior master bath, and then you got a 6.3 meter wide living room with 7.85 meters of length, and then you got a separated dining area of 4.9 meters. Right, so you have a designated living, you have a designated dining, as compared to the previous layout where the living and dining are just in front of each other. This one itself, you have the full utilization of a 6.3 meter wide living room just for your living, and then of course you have a designated space for your dining. So if you go and take a look at the show flat, at the dining area they put a circle table. Right, when it's a circular table, it also only says one thing: space, because rectangle tables, they make use of space effectively, but for circular table, it is just plain in your face telling you that there is space here. Okay, so this one is kind of like that kind of feeling. And as you enter from the main entrance, the private lift lobby, you can get that kind of landed living where you get your lounge area. You can put in your 8-seater or 9-seater or even 10-seater sofa sets that run in a U shape, so that it promotes a lot more communication as you host guests, so on and so forth. Finally, you get your kitchen area, 18 square meters with a yard as well as a store, and then towards the right is where all your remaining bedrooms are. 9 square meter bedroom 3, 9 square meter bedroom 4 with the toilets running in parallel to it. There's even a powder room, and as we enter the master bedroom, you got your walk-in wardrobe of 5 square meters followed by 17 square meters of pure master bedroom space, as the walk-in wardrobe is tucked on the left, and then finally you have your master bathroom. Alright, so I've personally seen, because of the agent preview myself, if you are a consumer looking for big living room space, you like the kind of landed setup where the minute you walk in, you can fit in huge furniture sets, huge sofa sets, and then you host a lot. This is the kind of layout that you are looking for. If you are the kind of consumer that focuses a lot on bedroom space, like myself, I focus a lot on bedroom space because that is probably where I spend most of my time at, then this itself may not be the most ideal, because whatever I'm getting at, the allocation of space for this 1830 square feet is very different. This one is fully allocated in the living rooms. That's why you only get 9 square meter bedrooms and a 17 square meter master bedroom. If you are expecting your master bedroom to be able to fit in lounge sets, then this may not be something that you like. And if you like big grandeur bathrooms that exudes a lot of luxury, just like how hotels are like, then this itself may not be so ideal, because you see the master bedroom is actually only 8 square meters. Right, so why am I saying that? Because my current place at Novel 18 is also about 1862 square feet, but I get a different allocation in space. I still get a 6.3 meter wide living room, dining room, but they are landscape layout where the living and dining are side by side each other. I don't get that separation of space where I get a designated living and dining, but I tell you, my master bedroom is definitely bigger than 17 square meters. I can put a king bed, I still can put a queen bed inside, and I still can put probably a dressing table. My master bedroom is very huge. Alright, and then if I go into the toilet is double the size of this. It's probably at 12 square meters to 13 square meters, where we can afford to have 2 sinks, a bathtub, as well as a shower place, and I still can fit in like 2 to 3 people inside. My wife can go into the toilet at the same time, and we can continue our business, so on and so forth, and we got ample space to walk around. So if you are that kind of consumer that's looking for the allocation of space in the master as well as the bathroom, then this may not be so ideal for yourself. Right? So for me, this is the tussle I'm going on, but of course, we are doing family planning, and having 4 bedrooms itself is actually very, very ideal. Alright, so of course, I do wish that there is a designated study area for this layout. I think it's possible to be able to squeeze cuisine probably at the dining area. So instead of putting a circular table, I'll put a rectangle table down here. Alright, we can actually cut just using the private lift lobby wall. Alright, we can cut out a space to fit in a study room so that you can utilize the space a little bit better. But otherwise, overall, a very effective layout. If you are a consumer looking for wide living room landed setup, then this is something that you can get a landed in the sky, especially you are facing the full river view. Alright, so here's a bird's eye view of the 4 bedrooms comparing side by side, 1830 versus the 1464. Overall, very consistent, very uniform layouts, not much huge variations, just a little bit tweak here and there to give you additional spaces and of course enhancing the living room space. But otherwise, it keeps layout consistent and uniform throughout. Alright, one more thing to note as we wrap up the floor plan analysis, you will realize that how GuocoLand has been so effective in creating all of these layouts. I really love them a lot because why? Especially the smaller units themselves, all of their living rooms are getting 3-meter wide living rooms, which is a very rare sight in today's market, because once it comes to smaller units, they probably, other developers usually give a 2.8 to 2.9 meter wide living room, some even 2.7 meters wide. This itself is able to give a 3-meter wide consistently throughout all the layouts for the 2 bedrooms. What I really love about GuocoLand is how they have kept their layouts consistent and uniform without too much variations. Even if they have different sizes like 829 square feet, 893 square feet or 797 square feet, it's just an additional bedroom, but everything else remains consistent, making it very easy for your future buyers to pinpoint. Right, there will not be huge layout fluctuations which will cause livability issues or erectingness in livability that causes confusion in your future resale buyers, and this is what I really love about this project itself. So now we move on to why I will not buy River Modern. So the first pointer is of course the higher entry price. So I think beforehand we already know what was the land cost. Alright, so River Modern was actually transacted at 1420 per square foot per plot ratio. Zion Grand was 1202 per square foot per plot ratio, with Promenade Peak being at about 1300-ish per square foot per plot ratio. So naturally we will see River Modern pricing the highest, and based on our previous videos before, we have kind of used the prorated calculation to kind of anticipate what prices they will be launching at. We are actually quite accurate based on that, because based on my previous video, we actually mentioned that River Modern will be starting at 2,805 per square foot, which was, I was kind of very accurate, with the average hitting about 3,000 and of course the highest going past maybe 3,400 to 3,500 per square foot. Somebody was not very happy with that proportionate prorated calculation based on our previous video, but I'm happy to say that we were pretty much quite accurate. So because of the higher land price, but we also understand why GuocoLand actually paid top dollar for this land itself based on our previous analysis of the master plan. And that itself, we have the newest price list down here based on River Modern's official announcement. The 2-bedroom will be at 1.548, 2,877 per square foot, 3-bedroom at 2.298 mil at 2,883 per square foot, as well as 4-bedroom at 4.5883134 per square foot. Alright, with that in mind, because of the higher land prices, naturally they need to be priced a little bit higher, but of course we must observe the land attributes, which we'll be talking about that later in the final verdict. But just in a very objective comparison, we'll look at the starting prices of Zion Grand, purposefully remove the 1-bedrooms and the penthouse so that we get a more accurate depiction of the numbers. We will see that the 2-bedrooms actually come out starting from 2,678 per square foot, the lowest price at 1.477 mil, about close to 80k cheaper than the starting price of the 2-bedroom here at River Modern. The average price of Zion Grand is at 3,052 per square foot, with its peak at 3,473 per square foot transacted. Alright, so next we have Promenade Peak, where we see a quantum of 1.78 mil being the lowest for the 2-bedrooms, and then of course we have a 2,690 per square foot starting from, and then to a range of 3,535 as the units get bigger and as the height premium adds on, with an average of 2.676 mil at 2,985 per square foot. So you can see from here, because of the sizes of the 2-bedrooms starting at a much larger size at 667 square feet and 678 square feet, that's why you get a bigger quantum of 1.78 mil as compared to the quantum of 1.548 mil here at River Modern. But in terms of PSF wise, they are still about 200 PSF lower. So Promenade Peak's smallest unit is about 657 square feet, and then that's why you get a slightly bigger quantum as compared to the 2-bedroom at 1.548 starting from 2-bedroom for River Modern. Right, next itself we have River Green, and then of course River Green itself we have removed the 1-bedrooms as well. For the bedrooms between 2 to 4 bedrooms, we have the lowest price starting at 1.455 mil at 2,759 PSF, with an average PSF of 3,143 PSF and the highest PSF of 3,591 PSF. Probably that's the bigger units at a much higher floor. 2,759 PSF was the starting, still lower than River Modern's PSF, and it's at 1.455 mil as compared to the 2-bedroom at River Modern at 1.548 mil. So if we look at River Green itself, the smallest 2-bedroom type is 527 square feet, quite similar to what we are seeing here at River Modern, which is the smallest one here at 538 square feet. So nothing much to compete about. It is of a bigger size, it is of a higher PSF, and that's why your quantum is already close to 100k higher. Alright, that's it. it. So in a way, if we just look at the pricing itself, yes, in a way it does translate to River Modern, kind of like the most expensive in that area also. But like what I mentioned before in the previous video, take a look at the master plan itself, maybe you'll be able to appreciate it more objectively. But that again, we leave it to the final verdict of this video. Right, but as of now, why I would not buy River Modern is also because of its elevated price. You are probably the last plot of land at this current moment in the River Valley vicinity. Alright, so now we move on to the second point of why I would not buy River Modern, the supply saturation. With the likes of Zion Grand, River Green, Promenade Peak, so on and so forth, actually we have more than 2,400 units that will hit the market at a similar time in the year 2030, like how all townships actually work as well. Alright, so of course, based on Lentor itself, a similar phenomenon has actually happened. So this time around, because of the emergence of the Thomson East Coast Line, which took more than 10 years to build, I'm sure you will see the government making full use of the resources invested into this MRT line to actually place a new township to cater to future population growth as well as current population influx. Alright, and that itself, we see more than 2,400 units coming into this area itself. The key question to ask is, are we actually facing an oversupply, and do we really have enough demand and upgraders to cater to all of these units? Otherwise, when all of these units come out at the same time, definitely the resale consumers will be spoiled for choices in that sense and end up in a oversupply situation, which results in a price war. Is this really what you want to be going through as a seller holding on to River Modern today? So here's a third pointer why I would not buy River Modern. It is the erratic pricing arising from the erratic facings as well. This is a very iconic development. It is a landmark in the entire River Valley area. It is the only development that is going to be river facing as well without any future construction, and there is a huge park connector setback that gives its very, very unique iconic attribute. Alright, and that itself has placed a premium on the entire development itself due to the higher land price. But most importantly, the river view facing units are definitely getting a premium based on what we can see on the starting prices. Because based on the starting prices itself, the 4-bedroom already is starting from 3,100 PSF, which is a strong indicator that that will be the likely PSF for river facing units. And the 4-bedroom river facing units are the ones that's getting the 31XX PSF. So likelihood the 2 bedrooms itself, maybe depending on how GuocoLand prices it. So far we have seen a new pattern and trend where the PSF of the smaller units are actually lower than the PSF of the bigger units, as contrary to popular belief like last time where the smaller units are always having a higher PSF. In order to attract consumers to buy today, developers have changed their behavior as well, because they are catering to the changed consumer behavior, and they want to give an advantage to the smaller unit consumers that there is actually an additional advantage of buying a smaller unit today, because instead of it being a bigger PSF, now it's a smaller PSF. So it can go both ways. So assuming we go by the usual traditional belief, then the 4 bedrooms facing the river is already at 3134 PSF. So assuming the smaller unit will have a higher PSF, that will place it at 32 to 33 PSF for the smaller unit. Again, this is all based on deductions as well as predictions. We are still waiting for more accurate price info to come out. But because of this, the disparity between the river facing and the non-river views are about close to 400 PSF difference already. That will cause actually erratic pricing in the future, where maybe the non-river view facing, which is facing the future construction site of Parcel C, may pull down your prices, affecting your river view facings. But then again, it can work both ways as well, because people see that it's facing the construction, they have no choice but to choose the one that's facing river view, and they are definitely going to pay a premium and top dollar for it. And with that, it pulls the river view pricing higher, and then maybe it can help the non-river view facing units. But then again, you see the way I try to explain it now is really causing a question mark and an erratic judgment on the river view versus the non-river view units itself. So if we go the other spectrum of things, where the developer priced the smaller unit facing the river lower PSF than the big unit, so meaning to say instead of 3233 PSF, we get it at 3000 or 29 PSF, then it may actually be a steal, because the gap between the non-river view versus the river view is very narrow. But again, because of all this erraticness, it's already causing uncertainty right now at the entry point. Then what about when it comes to the exit? Then again, it works the other way. Because of the lower pricing from non-river view facing, it may actually pull down your river view facing as well. So it really depends on the consumer's behavior and resale consumers' certainty, whether do they really enjoy and believe in the river view units and are going to pay top dollar for it also, and whether for those that are facing the non-river views, people are able to compromise just because they want such an ideal location. Overall, as a whole, River Modern is a damn awesome project. Maybe they are able to live with it. But then again, because of all this uncertainty and erraticness, just by doing this video itself, you can already see the dilemma already arising. So that is the reason why I may not want to consider River Modern. Now we move on to why I will buy River Modern. The first pointer will be, of course, the track record of the GuocoLand developments. So far, the track record of GuocoLand has always been a very wonderful one, especially with recent years where the URA policies have been implemented, and they have always been coming up with very effective designs and layouts. But most importantly, they pride their developments with landscaping with an utmost focus on livability as well as luxury and grandeur. And that's why they had this modern series where we have Lentor Modern, we have Martin Modern, we have now River Modern, as well as Midtown Modern. So you can see they are called the Modern series, which actually follows the same usual brown facade, sophisticated designs with a lot more landscapings that focuses a lot on the livability. In my previous video, I've already mentioned how strong a track record they have because of this focus on landscaping and nature. So you will realize that something like Midtown Modern, which is in the Bugis area, there are 2 bedrooms actually cross more than 500k of profits. And then of course we have Lentor Modern, which is also in the mass market area that overlooks the landed enclave, and it's a mixed development with a huge shopping mall below. Again, their 4 bedrooms have already crossed more than 500k of profits within a short period of 3 years. And then of course we have their first introduction of the Modern series, which was Martin Modern itself. It was actually in a location where it is mostly dominated by freeholds such as Rivergate as well as Martin Place residences, but then again, time and time the developments have proven its worth. Martin Modern, if you recall, has a huge lawn area, very nice facilities with concierge services, very nice reception area, and a very nice quality car park. Alright, usually car park is a big giveaway, and of course they poured resources, being the inaugural project within the River Valley vicinity in a much freehold dominated area. The 99 itself has withstood the test of times and proven its worth as well, all because of one thing: livability with landscape, modern nature. Alright, so that itself caters to the needs of families, and because of the consumer behavior change due to my usual red line versus blue line graph, where is freehold really a need or a choice? And I think now we all know the answer: freehold is a choice. But as a family now, if we really need a place to live in and it really fits my family needs, such as a great lawn area, good facilities, great layout, feasible layouts and efficient layouts, then I buy law. And our government has already ensured with all the robust income policies and cooling measure, ensuring that income aligns with housing price to ensure affordability. And that is the main reason why it shifted the consumer behavior from a usual freehold status to 99, because of the certainty of a clear exit strategy. In the past, our parents will always advocate going for freehold is because the income used to be much lower than the property prices. So holding on to a freehold would retain its value much better than a 99. But now times have changed. The income affordability far surpasses the real estate prices due to our implementation of cooling measures that has already burst its own real estate bubble and buffered it by a couple of hundreds to even 1,000 PSF. And that is why the livability focus has shifted the consumer behavior, and you see very, very healthy track records based on the past few GuocoLand developments. But most importantly, I want to highlight to you places like Avenir as well as Leiden Residence and even Goodwood Residences. You will realize that Goodwood Residences itself entered at a PSF of about 2,500 to 2,600 per square foot in the year of 2010. Those were the first batch of buyers. They entered at peak price, followed by an implementation of cooling measures, which actually caused the prices to adjust and correct itself. But because of its strong livability, efficient layouts, landscaping, so on and so forth, that promotes a lot of fulfilling of the family needs. And that is why it has withstood the test of times. As the market catches up today, and finally we see the 3,000 to 3,500 per square foot in the CCR and Central region, because of its highly livable attributes within Goodwood Residence, you see that despite them losing money along the way, because of its high livability attributes, it has caught up, and from then on continued driving the prices up to about 2,008 to even 3,200 per square foot. So from a losing money because of a wrong entry price point at 2,500 per square foot 15 years ago, we stood the test of times, and because of strong livability attributes, they have caught up, turning it from a money-losing project to a break-even project to finally a profitable project. So people who held it for 15 to 16 years, in the end still resulted in a more than $1 million profitability. All this has got to do with only one word: livability. And that is what GuocoLand developer always emphasizes on. And that's why they paid top dollar for this land, because if you look at the entire master plan itself, this is the only development in the whole entire River Valley vicinity that comes with a seamless connection to the park connector to do a short walk around it and you're in the park itself. But just take a look from a visual optics perspective, just by standing at the pool itself. As you look out to the pool and the landscaping lawn, right, even it features a lawn trail area of 170 something meters or something like that that runs alongside the Kim Seng Park. So you can really see that seamless infinite peripheral vision of your own landscaping to the park connector finally hitting the river views. Now this is high livability attribute. Alright, so what I want to highlight here is actually, yes, there may be a premium, but yes, GuocoLand knows what the hell they are doing, because it has already proven time and time again that Martin Modern, Goodwood Residences as well as Leiden Residences, because of its high landscaping attributes, high luxury finishing and quality, resulted in the meeting of family needs. And you all know resale buyers are always emotional. The minute that they find something that caters to their family needs, the minute they can visualize their family or kids running around in beautiful landscaping, they themselves taking a stroll after a long days of work, this appeals to them as a resale buyer. And because they are mostly emotional, they get to see how effective the space is, they pay top dollar for it. Sometimes in new launches, we are always looking at numbers and a lot of logic, but we also must cater to the emotional needs of our future resale buyers, and drawing the lessons from Martin Modern, drawing the lessons from Leiden Residences, residences as well as Goodwood residences. These are clear examples that people were paying ahead of their time just for something different, something unique, something that focuses on landscaping, nature, livability that a lot of developments do not offer, especially in the River Valley area where you're surrounded by a concrete jungle. Places like Zion Grand Promenade Peak, wherever you look 360 degrees is either HDB flats, commercial buildings, if not is private buildings. River Modern is something that stands out from the rest because of its connection to nature, and this follows the same lessons and attributes that we see at Leiden Residences, Martin Modern as well as Goodwood Residences. In the long run, there will be an exponential growth in terms of their profits once people realize that there is nothing else like this within the River Valley vicinity. To wrap it up for you for this pointer itself, based on the likes of Martin Modern, Leiden Residences as well as Goodwood Residences, the key thing to take note is this: Goodwood as well as Leiden, they belong to a slightly lower rise development. The thing is, they don't get that kind of unparalleled views that you'll be getting at River Modern, where you get the Singapore River view, and this is the last development in the entire area to be able to get this kind of views. So you get all the high livability attributes of the predecessors, but most importantly, you got one extra strength, which is the river view, which nobody of them gets it. So if they can make that kind of profits with that kind of similar attributes, now here at River Modern, you are replicating it, but this time around, you are given the luxury and advantage of a river view. I'm sure it completes the final jigsaw puzzle to achieve long-term sustainability in terms of pricing, ensuring clear exit strategy. Moving on to the second pointer, why I will purchase River Modern: effective price quantum lower than surrounding resale. So if we look at the surrounding resale here, we have an app called ProMap from PropNext. It makes things a lot more effective. Keying in the attribute River Modern within 700 meters, condo sale price of 2 bedrooms, anything above 200 units between a period of 2017 to 2026, right? Intentionally being in this period of time because we have already gone through the improvement of URA policies. We don't even want to be comparing to anything before this because they have detrimental layout issues that already limits the pricing. So we want to be comparing to something that has already gone through the improvement of URA policy so that we are not getting detrimental layout issues that limits pricing and then suddenly having outlier there looking very cheap, but in actual fact the price is already limited, and that's why it's cheap in the area. We want to be comparing apple to apple to similar products in the area so that we can know whether River Modern itself is an effective price positioning. So here, after keying all these attributes itself, these are what is available on the map. We have Irwell Hill Residences, 8 St. Thomas, Riviere. And just by looking at this, these are all the developments with 131 listings, 5 resale projects. Irwell Hill, for the 2 bedrooms, we have 603 to 764 square feet. The starting price is already at 1.69 mil. And mind you, all of these are non-GFA harmonized. So you can imagine how much compromise that they had to make catering to maybe bigger AC ledgers. So maybe the effective space is down to a 500-ish square feet, but you are not going to get that kind of dimensions because of the varying thickness in wall. So if we move on to 8 St. Thomas, alright, that is one of the older developments. The TOP in 2018 is a freehold. The 2 bedrooms, 549 square feet is already at 1.89 mil. That itself already sets us apart by 300 over K, pricing in a lot more consumers by a 300K difference, you know. And then next we have Martin Modern, which is the first flagship development by GuocoLand in this area. 746 square feet, 1.98 mil. Alright, Riviere, which is the last new development in this area, the last batch one, because they fall under the category of luxury property, so their units are all slightly larger, non-harmonized as well, 818 square feet starting from 2.3 mil. And then of course we have Avenir, which is a freehold development. An improvement of Martin Modern is their second iconic project in the whole River Valley area. We have the Avenir, 807 square feet at 2.75 mil. So this time around we have the 2 bedrooms starting from 538 square feet at 1.58xx mil. Whoa, it is a 3 to 400K or even 1 million below the surrounding resale quantum. That itself would have already attracted a group of consumers. And even if we were to cater to our future resale buyers, let's say you intend to make a profit of 300 to 400K, that will put us in a price range of about 1.88 to 1.9 mil. It's still cheaper than the current resale asking prices. Right, that itself already is a clear winner why people will choose River Modern in the future, because if you compare to the rest of Irwell Hill, 8 St. Thomas, Martin Modern, Riviere, as well as the Avenir, you are probably the one closest to the MRT station, right beside it, yet still come with a park connector, yet still come with commercial spaces below. You have the best of everything, and you're right opposite the primary school, River Valley Primary School. Hey, if I am somebody that's looking for an address or somebody that's looking for an investment to maximize my rental yield, nothing can beat my River Modern. And most importantly, my entry price is at only 1.58 mil, which is already 3 to 400K cheaper than the current resale prices. But most importantly, even if I factor in my profits, I will still be cheaper than the 2026 resales that are currently asking at right now. Isn't this a key advantage that you can capitalize on? Alright, so now we move on to the 3 bedrooms. Alright, you all may say like, wow, 28 PSF, 3000 PSF. Hey, actually because of GFA harmonization again, once again, it saved the day. Because here we have have, applying the same attributes and the same way of filtering, we have 58 listings from 5 resale projects within the vicinity of 700 meters of River Morden. We have Martin Morden, which is non-harmonized, TOPing in 2020 to 2021, 850 square feet of 3 bedrooms starting from 2.55 mil as a resale. Alright, so meaning to say, if we remove the AC latch and everything, then we have the 829 square feet variation. That will put River Morden, 829 square feet times 3000 PSF at 2.487 mil. Hey, it's still about 80k cheaper than a resale of an equivalent. If we dive deeper into the Martin Morden side of things, we have the 3 bedroom at 1012 square feet and the 3 bedroom at 1335 square feet, which because of harmonization, all these sizes do not exist in the current classification of River Morden. Alright, but that itself, for the same size, 1421 square feet, 3 bedroom, take note here at Martin Morden, is actually at 4.8 mil, which can actually get you a 4 bedroom at River Morden. Thank God for GFA harmonization. Now you can see how the GFA harmonization effects actually fills the price void of the current market and increases the affordability of our people. That's why we always go back to saying yesterday's pricing, today's affordability. Because why, with the same price that you pay for a 3 bedroom at Martin Morden, now you can actually buy a 4 bedroom that caters to your family needs. Yes, because a 4 bedroom starting from, for a 1464, in fact, 1464 4 bedroom River Morden itself is a starting of 4.588. The 1421 Martin Morden is already resale asking at 4.8 mil. A 1399 square feet Martin Morden is already going for 4.288 mil. Top up a little bit more, can we get a 4 bedrooms at River Morden? Alright, so you can see how the resale prices are already eating into the new launch pricings again. Next, we have Well Hill. If we dive a little bit deeper, the same thing is happening as we speak. 861 square feet is asking at 2.9 mil for a 3-bedder. Mind you, again, if we apply the same formula, 904 square feet, 3 bedroom at River Morden at 3100 PSF is only at 2.802 mil, 100k cheaper in terms of quantum, yet similar functionality or even more efficiency. Alright, and if we dive deeper, we can see a Well Hills 3 bedroom 1270 square feet. If we use the 1098 square feet as an example for River Morden times 3001 to 3002 per square foot, you will still be getting a quantum of 3.4 to 3.5 mil, 4 to 500k cheaper than the 1270 square feet at a Well Hill residences, but yet you get a river view at your River Morden 3 bedroom premium. Alright, next we have a few more examples here. We have an 861 square feet a Well Hill high floor unit at 3.3 mil. Again, an 893 square feet at River Morden 3000 PSF is only 2.679, putting it at a 700k difference in quantum. Alright, again we continue with this another example here that I'm seeing, a Well Hill residences 861 square feet at 2.9 mil. That's actually the example that we quoted just now. Alright, so you can see just based on these facts and figures, we are able to identify key opportunities in the market. For Riviera itself, diving much deeper, a 1141 square feet at Riviera is already asking at 3.4 mil. Give and take, nego a bit, 3.3, 3.4. Alright, that itself, a 1098 square feet at River Morden facing the river is 3.4 mil as well. Again, resale price at new launch pricing, or new launch pricing at resale price, which is better if you are a buyer today. Again, a justification of the quantum thanks to GFA harmonization. Alright, and if we dive a little bit deeper, we have another 1141 square feet listing asking at 3.708. We have another 1173 square feet asking at 3.6 mil. Again, 200k cheaper at River Morden. Riviera, again, there is a bigger unit at 4.888 mil for 1507 square feet, which you can already buy a 4 bedroom classification for a similar size with a much more effective layout. Again, with a justification that the living room is a lot more spacious as compared to Riviera also. Alright, so here we scroll down a little bit more, we have a lot more Riviera resale listings that continues to justify this quantum difference and effectiveness that River Morden can achieve. Next, we have 8 St. Thomas as well. 8 St. Thomas, we have 7 resale listings starting from 1152 square feet for a 3 bedroom. Immediately the quantum is already at 3.6 mil. Again, a 1098 square feet would likely be starting from 3.5 to 3.6 mil, a resale same price as a new launch should you go for the new launch. But most importantly, this new launch has a river view with much more effective layouts as well as the River Valley Primary School. Alright, next we have the Avenir. This itself being a freehold is already at 4.38 mil at 1141 square feet, and it has already been transacted at that kind of price range as well, indicating only one thing: this area is already ready to pay this kind of money, close to 1 mil difference for a 3 bedroom. So the market acceptance is down there. If you get in at the entry price of about 3.4 to 3.5 or 3.6 mil depending on your height level for the 3 bedroom premium, doesn't this make even more sense for you? So you got a good price range and a good spectrum down here. You go for the smaller units, you win more in terms of the quantum. You go for the bigger units to fit your livability needs. Again, you know you are sitting on a minimum $500,000 quantum advantage. Alright, so now we move into the 4-bedder. Next, the listings drastically drop. It is still the same 5 resale projects. 8 St. Thomas, Riviera, Martin Morden, and the Avenir. So now we already have the starting price of the 1464, which is at 4.588 mil. Let's remember this, at 3134 PSF. If we look at Well Hill, the 1539 square feet non-harmonized, meaning to say if we remove about 7 to 8% or easy calculation 10% of AC latch, that puts us at a similar size of 1,004 or even 1,380 plus square feet. That itself is already at 4.98 mil at 3,148 PSF. Today we have River Modern at 4 bedrooms, 4.588 mil, a 500k difference at 3,134 PSF. Resale and new launch same PSF. One is harmonized, one is not harmonized. The harmonized one has a similar or lower PSF than the one that is non-harmonized. By right, the non-harmonized one should have a lower PSF, but in the end, the harmonized one has a lower PSF. Isn't this a clear opportunity for you for 4 bedrooms as well, especially if you're looking for something like a landed setup within condominium? Alright, so next itself, if we dive a little bit deeper, right, the same 1,464 square feet is able to get you close to a $1 million difference in quantum right now. Alright, so 1,830 times 3,002, let's say 5.8 mil. In fact, with these asking prices from the resale, we use the 1,830 square feet of River Modern, higher PSF of 3,200 PSF. It will still be only a quantum of 5.856 mil. Let's put it, it's only 200k difference from the 1,539 square feet at Well Hill, but you get so much more, 300 square feet more, right? Isn't this an effective advantage that you can go for at River Modern? Next, we have 8 St. Thomas, which is the freehold development, 1,690 square feet, 4.99 mil. Again, the starting price of the 1,464 square feet is at 4.588 mil, 400k difference in quantum. And mind you, if you go and dive deeper a little bit to 8 St. Thomas, their AC ledge is super huge with bay windows. Alright, so if you minus the bay windows and everything, the effective size of 8 St. Thomas is only about 1,400 to even 1,300 square feet. With that in mind, you are paying for unnecessary space at a much higher price as River Modern, which is GFA harmonized. All space are all inside the unit space itself. Now, next, if we dive deeper into Martin Modern, we have 5.1 mil for 1,733 4 bedroom. There's only one kind of 4 bedrooms. We have 3 resale listings down there. You can see the demand for big format units, 4 bedrooms, is very high in demand in this area. 3 listings, 4 bedroom, 1,733 square feet is at 5.1 mil. You have another higher floor unit at 5.8 mil and another lower floor unit at 5.1 mil. This itself does create a little bit of quantum difference, with River Modern being about 500 to 700k higher, but don't forget you are getting river views, while the views of the 4 bedrooms may not be so ideal here at Martin Modern. Next, we have the Avenir, 7.8 mil, 2,056 square feet for a 4-bedder. Then again, we have a 1,830 square feet where we can get it at 6 mil. Alright, again, this one for Avenir is non-harmonized, so let's say 7% is 140 to 150 square feet. This puts us back at 1,850 to 1,900 square feet. So that itself, you get it at about 6 million to 6.5 million versus a 7.8 million, the Avenir. That is $1.5 million or 1.5 million difference. Yeah, you may argue that's freehold or what, but again, the key question comes in again is freehold a need or a choice? Or is the space, the effective space and the similarities in space more important because it meets your current family needs? Then again, do I really need to pay 7.8 mil, a 1.5 mil difference just for the freehold status? And I know probably the unit will pass my lifetime. Alright, next, we have Riviere, the 2,002 square feet, 4 bedrooms, is already at 8.9 mil. Wow, it's already a 2 to 3 million quantum difference. Alright, all this all because of GFA harmonization is asking 4,446 PSF. I think this one don't need to say already lah. Because of the lack of 4 bedroom supply in the entire area that meets the needs of families, suddenly GuocoLand's River Modern becomes such an effective and alternative choice that people cannot ignore. So to wrap up this point, I think by now you have seen the quantum advantage that River Modern can offer. Most importantly, it's about meeting the needs of the consumers in Singapore as well as the family needs. Because of the GFA harmonization effect, this, despite being slightly higher land price itself, you can still see the quantum advantage as compared to surrounding resale, how it actually prices a lot of the consumers back into the market. So we now move on to the third pointer, back to 2017's quantum pricing for the smaller units. Alright, so if you look at the smaller units for Martin Modern itself, it starts from 764 square feet, 1.65 mil, 850 square feet, 1.921, and then 872, 1.832, and 883 square feet at 1.878 mil. Alright, so of course, some of the sizes here, because of it being GFA non-harmonized, itself has already, we are able to get a larger classification in terms of the respective sizes itself. But just by looking at the 527 square feet 2 bedrooms, it's starting from 1.548 mil, which is already cheaper than the 764 square feet listed down here. Of course, if we go a little bit bigger just to get a 2-bed 2-bath with equivalent functionality, 646 square feet will bring us back to about 1.873 mil, which is cheaper than the 850 square feet Martin Modern starting price of 1.921 mil back then already. So in a way, if you're going for a smaller unit here, there's a reason why resale smaller units now are facing a little bit of stagnation, because they are facing quite a fair bit of competition from the GFA harmonized units that offer similar functionality but yet at a much smaller size, which drops a lot of the quantum, making it a lot more affordable for the 2 bedrooms especially. Otherwise, the 3 and 4 bedrooms, again, because of the above pointer of the current resale supply versus the new launch pricing, we can see how much more advantageous the new launch pricings are. Alright, so now we move on to the final verdict of River Modern. To me, actually, this is a product that's just nice. You are in the closing window of the GFA harmonization effects. We all already expected it, because whatever that is launching in the first 6 months of 2026 marks the closing window of the GFA harmonization effects, as we see land prices in the year of first half of 2025 already inching up. So River Morden happens to be the land sold in the first half of 2025, and that's why you are slowly experiencing the higher prices as we speak. But then again, like what I mentioned before, based on this current slide here, where we see Nara Residences, where we see River Morden, where we see Bayshore, as well as Lentor, all these mark the final window before the GFA harmonization effects actually wear off. Because anything sold after June 2025, all the land prices are all 20 to even 30 or even 40% higher. We see the likes of Dorset Road, we see the likes of Bedok having a higher land price than Promenade Peak, Zion Grand, and similar to what we are seeing here at River Morden. A matter of time where we see OCR or RCR developments being even higher than what we are getting at River Morden or River Valley area. So with that in mind, any land that is sold after June 2025 is already 20 to 40% higher, which will set a new benchmark price. In a way, that also means that the future River Valley Parcel C, alright, will also be 20 to 30% higher than what we are getting here at River Morden. And with that in mind, then you should probably be capitalizing on this opportunity, especially River Morden is such a superior product. If you refer to my previous video, you will realize that based on the master plan itself, you can never find such a land in the entire River Valley and even Orchard vicinity where it is seamlessly connected to a park connector followed by a river. The nature aspect of it, you are surrounded by a concrete jungle within city living. It is very normal, but this is the only one that gives you the multiple best of many worlds, where you can get nature, environment, tranquility, convenience, accessibility, and most importantly, a school. So whatever that checks your boxes, this is the one that will check. And most importantly, yes, you may be paying a little bit of premium based on what my video actually mentioned, about 150 to 200 PSF higher in terms of starting prices, but GuocoLand knows what they are getting into, because this land itself is really that valuable. And I've proven with the past few track records from Leiden Residences, Goodwood Residences, where the buyers paid a premium initially for a premium product, but in the end we stood the test of times and eventually making even more profits than other developments within the vicinity itself also. This itself will have mitigated the higher entry price as compared to surrounding Zion Grand and Promenade Peak, because most importantly, they are all not getting any views. They are all either surrounding HDB flats, private condominiums, and commercial buildings, and most importantly, the hustle and bustle of road junctions, because why, they are all filter lanes that filter into Great World City, if not into Havelock Road, which is where all the cars will pass by to go onto the highways of the Outram area, MCE or CTE. Just can imagine the hustle and bustle comparing to Zion Grand as well as Promenade Peak, whereas you are going to be able to get a tranquil greenery environment in River Morden itself. So that itself will have mitigated. But anyway, just by getting into River Morden, you are going to be capitalizing on the first movers advantage of the GFA harmonization before the window closes, as seen in this slide down here. And that itself, we are quite confident that River Valley Parcel C is likely going to be at least 20 to 30% higher than what we are going to be getting at River Morden. But of course, the main concern of whether the oversupply is happening within the River Valley area, first of all, River Morden is going to be setting itself aside. Is going to be the only unique product that has all these following attributes, which the previous 4 developments that have been launched are not going to get that. You're only going to get high floor views from those developments, but you're still surrounded by a concrete jungle. Basically, the concrete buildings form part of your views, and that's nothing proud to be shouting about. Exactly like my Novel 18, I actually get the full greenery view of the Nasim vicinity, and that itself really is a much different lifestyle as compared to just being surrounded by buildings or having buildings forming the line of sight and you overlooking their rooftops. This itself, you're going to get your tranquility, you're going to get your environment and views. So coming to the oversupply, whether is there really an oversupply, the product itself is already far superior compared to the rest that has already been recently launched. When it comes to TOP, the difference is going to be even more drastic and jarring, setting itself aside from the rest. And of course, if you're going to be a little bit more data driven, you will see that based on the surrounding RCR HDBs, we have an estimated population of 12,000 in Tiong Bahru, which results in more than 145,000 HDB residents. Queenstown HDB has a resident population of 82,000. Bidadari has approximately about 10,000 residential units, which results in about 30,000 population. And then we have 104k residents at Kallang. So if we add all this popular RCR HDB population, we'll have a population of 356,900 approximately. I haven't included likes of other HDB RCRs. And then we just say 10% come out to upgrade, we already need 35,000 population. Divided by 3.11, we will need 11,475 units. If you're saying 10% upgraders is way too much, why not? We talk about 5% upgraders, which results in 17,000 population. 17,000 population divided by 3.11, we will still need 5,737 units to go about. And you know, given the likes of Tiong Bahru HDBs, Kallang HDBs, as well as Bidadari, to them, they are already spot by convenience and accessibility. The only place where they deem as a good and strong upgrade will actually be in the city area, somewhere with a lot more convenience and city living. This one, again, like what I said, the River Valley townships allow these people to climb the social ladder. In that sense, finally it made space for social ladder upgrading, which in the past there was a bottleneck for all these HDB upgraders because they just got nowhere to move. With everything added together here at the River Valley vicinity, we have about 2,400 to 2,500 units, but we already need 5,000 plus units. There's definitely enough to go about, and given the pent-up demand that has been happening, because it's been about close to 5 to 10 years since there was a bulk of new developments being introduced in this vicinity. The last one was Awell Hill, which was in the last cycle of 2020 year, but otherwise there isn't that much going on in the central region like River Valley. So that pent-up demand has really been built up over the last 10 years. We have a lot of these HDB upgraders from the RCR side of things that finally they have spaced forward and move upwards. So now we move on, of course, the key question of whether does it really cost that much of an erratic pricing? Yes and no, but based on what I've observed so far, it more often than not, because of having a premium facing within the development, actually helps to drive the entire price sustainability of the entire development. It does help to pull the non-premium facing units up in terms of pricing and PSF because of the price gap difference. If you have a price gap, let's say for example right now your non-premium facing is 2,800 PSF as what they are launching at. For the Riverview facing unit is at about 3,100 to 3,200 per square foot. That itself has created a buffer of 300 to 400 PSF for the non-premium unit. As this pulls away because of a consumer need for the Riverview facing, let's say people are really willing to pay top dollars for the premium facing, and in order for these people who bought the premium facing to actually have a good capital appreciation of minimum 500 to 700 PSF, that will actually put it at about 3,700 to 3,800 PSF. Plus the premium views itself, people pay top dollar for it. At another 100 PSF, we'll be seeing it in the range of 3,800 to 3,900 PSF, or maybe even 4,000 PSF. The price gap between a 2,008 to 2,009 versus a 4,000 is already at 1,200 PSF difference. We have that's actually about 600 to 700 PSF, meaning to say the non-premium unit can actually leverage on the premium facing unit, alright, to actually exit effectively. Meaning to say plus a 700 PSF on 2.8, meaning to say maybe they can exit at 3.4 to 3.5, which also brings in quite healthy profits, and that itself already creates that leveraging for the non-premium units. So to wrap up everything and connect the dots each other, plus the support of the River Valley Parcel C, which is likely to be launching 20 to 30% higher, that actually creates even more leverage. So to come to the final verdict of this, I think River Modern is a very superior product. There is a reason why GuocoLand paid top dollar for it. We have analyzed the master plan, we have analyzed the layouts. This is a very clear product that focuses on livability, that will withstand the test of times. There will be a constant demand from resale buyers because this is the only product in the entire River Valley vicinity that focuses on family needs. Even the smaller units are catering to family homestay demand as compared to the likes of River Green itself, which is a pure investment development spectrum. Down there is very clearly focusing on rental yield. This itself, even the smaller units are focusing on family needs as well, given you can see how GuocoLand has designed the unit layouts. So very superior, and I've proven to you with all the track record that even you pay a little bit more premium at the start, it is okay, because resale buyers can see with their own eyes that definitely this is going to be superior. You want something that actually has a school, a park connector with commercial spaces, 1 minute walk, sheltered walkway all the way to MRT to cater to your children's needs, with a shopping center at Great World City. I mean, this is the formula that marks a perfect real estate, a perfect property. And you know resale buyers are emotional and they will pay top dollar for it. Just because sometimes on paper during a new launch doesn't look too favorable doesn't mean a resale buyer will not pay for it. Sometimes when it looks too favorable as a new launch, again, it sells out. Just because it sells out, it doesn't mean that it's a good product that a resale buyer will buy in the future. So all these attributes that I've highlighted to you throughout the whole video marks a clear distinction as well as clear attributes that resale buyers will look out for, and GuocoLand has time and time proven this winning formula through all of its past track records. Alright, so I hope this insight has enabled you to overcome certain obstacles or mind blocks that you may have arisen along the way during the launch of River Modern. Most importantly, I've identified key opportunities for you. If you are interested in River Modern, please remember to contact me at 94569398. Whether is it River Modern or not, I've got the answers to all of your scenarios, and I've met so many of my consumers out there. All of their feedback to me was, wow, Matt, you have connected the dots so well for me. Now I have clarity. I know what I should be moving forward next. I can chart ahead with all your advices and piecing up of the pieces and the dots together. Alright, so I like to combine all my essentials concepts with the products so that you can have a clear picture ahead. Remember to like, share and subscribe as I continue staying motivated, and most importantly, pushing the YouTube algorithm so that all of my audiences out there can continue having access to such insightful and in-depth knowledge. Alright, remember to like, share and subscribe, and most importantly, see you in the next one in the Essentials channel.